From their athleticism and competitiveness, motherhood to the push for social justice and change, the women in the W never cease to amaze, and we've got you covered from courtside to the outside. This is the Hardwood 94. Let's tip off. Welcome back to the Hardwood 94. I'm your host, Jackie Rae. We have talked about the expansion of rosters and the expansion of teams. Maybe we should also talk about the docket, the one and done rule, or the Spencer Haywood rule for the WNBA. Think about this. How much could the league grow if you had the hype and the influx of players like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Flo J. Johnson, and others coming into the league with that fire and rivalry? The league would be even more exciting, and ticket sales would probably skyrocket, which of course ends up being a great way to build a deeper fan base across the league. For the next CBA, this should get some strong consideration. I understand about the money, especially with the current NIL deals. However, growing the league means increased revenue and visibility. Now, if you live in Los Angeles and you were preparing for the fake hurricane, you might have missed that the Sparks have not only won their last 4 games, on Saturday they beat the reigning world champs, the Las Vegas Aces. The win by the Sparks was not only shocking, but they also snagged the win in Vegas, handing the Aces their first home loss of the regular season. Led by Layshia Clarendon's 22 points, along with Jordan Canada's 20 points, the Sparks are fighting for their playoff lives. With 5 games remaining as the Sparks sit currently in the 8th seed, every game is a must-win game for this team that has battled through injuries, lineup changes, and severe losing streaks. So make sure you stay with us because you won't want to miss my exclusive conversation with Sparks guard Layshia Clarendon coming up, so stay tuned.
Yeah, this league is a sisterhood. It's way more than just a game. It's an empire. A fearless empire. More side-swiping steals? Check. We got hoops, drive, and passion. Easy. More buckets, extra sauce? Order up. More dimension-defying dimes, more dancing than a Saturday night. Now this is what I call prime time. You see that?
Welcome back to the Hardwood 94. We are your go-to for getting to know players and coaches and the latest going on around the W. This is probably one of my favorite interviews of the season thus far. I asked Sparks guard Layshia Clarendon some questions that a lot of players wouldn't want to answer and they would want to steer clear from. She not only answered serious questions with style and grace, we had a lot of fun. So check it out.
Few basketball questions though.
Okay.
Coach Miller, I was talking to him last week and I was talking to him about the phrase rebuild. And he said he's been very intentional about not using that phrase and instead using building because he wants to ingrain that you're building, it's not a rebuild. When you hear those terms, build versus rebuild, what's the difference to you?
Oh, I think rebuild implies like getting back to something that was before. And I think build implies a little more about the future, a new chapter, turning a page, honoring what was in the past, but knowing you're building on the foundation that was there to something new.
I've been asking everyone the same question, and I'm not going to ask you, but the question I was asking everybody is if you could be commissioner for a day, what would be the first thing you would change? Everyone has consistently said, but
Yeah.
you already knew.
You know what? I'm going to say I would change. I don't know if Kathy has the power to do this because there's like a board of governors and all that stuff, but I would say I would change it to a soft cap.
Okay.
Because we have a hard cap right now. So I'd change it to a soft cap. So like veteran contracts could count as like a rookie minimum.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a gap right now for our veteran players.
Okay, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. So if you were part of the ownership group for the Sparks, what's one thing that you would change to make life better for the players?
Ooh, if I was part of the ownership group, they're doing a really good job. I would build us like a brand new practice facility. I don't know where, somewhere. Yeah.
Would you build your own arena too?
Ooh, that's a good question. Because I know crypto is a little bit different. Yeah, arena would be dope. I mean, sure, I want it all. I'm writing all the checks. I got to, check my bank account. But yeah, an arena would be dope too. Our ownership group does a really good job. But I think a practice facility would be cool. Like it's a home base for us.
Yep. I heard you talk earlier a little bit about injuries and how you guys just want to be whole. But let's just talk about when your injury, you were out for almost a month, right, with your foot injury. We know that there's a physical aspect of coming back, but can you talk a little bit about what goes into mentally being okay after an injury like that?
Just a lot goes into it. Trusting yourself, really getting to a place where you can get back on the court and not be afraid to like that you're going to have the same injury. So it's kind of getting over that mental block. It's getting through the injury itself when you're, watching your team struggle without you and knowing the things that you can bring. It's taking care of your nutrition, your sleep, just all of that stuff when you're kind of isolated from the team, which is one of the hardest parts of an injury is like you're still on the team, but you're not in the day to day with players. So it really easily you're kind of removed from it. You're going to PT on your own. You just kind of miss out on like the jokes and all the little things. And so that's probably one of the hardest parts is just feeling like you're not really in there with the team.
The W's been really good about challenging social norms, leading the charge in that. I saw a tweet from Enes Kanter Freedom, is his name now, Enes Kanter Freedom. Okay. He was really big not too long ago about drawing attention to what is happening to Muslims in China, and he called out LeBron James for not being more vocal on that. And now he's claiming he's been blackballed from the NBA because of those words. Oh. And so he said something that, as you was one of the first people to identify as non-binary in the league, I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on. He said that since he's been blackballed, perhaps he should identify as a woman and dominate in the WNBA. When you hear...
This is a lot. Okay, you're giving me a lot.
Yeah. So when you hear a veteran NBA player whose name is known say something like that...
Who said this?
Enes Kanter Freedom.
Okay.
That
okay.
It was Enes Kanter. Okay. Then he changed it to Enes Kanter Freedom because of his thought process on what's going on with China. So now that he hasn't been able to get a job, so now he's blaming it on his thought process on China.
No, okay, can't get an interview.
He's not come to try out
because we don't have open trials. Yeah,
right. So when you hear him say something like that, what do you think?
I mean, it's ridiculous on one, but I think it plays to like one is that men think they can just step on the court and dominate with us. It's like a very misogynistic thing to think. It's kind of that movie. I mean, I loved the movie when I was younger before I understood Joanna Man, right? I loved it. I watched it. It's toxic now that we know more about gender identity, but it was like funny at the time, but it plays at that whole idea that like if you just put on a costume, right? I always say like who signs up to be a women's athlete because like we're not treated as well. We don't get paid as much. We deal with misogyny. We're told our sport's not good. So like where are all the dudes who are dressing up and putting on these costumes to come play with us to be like treated like women athletes? Like, right? Nobody signs up to be trans just for the fun of it because we don't treat trans people very well or non-binary people very well in this country. Like we're being murdered left and right. There's a young gay man who was murdered for dancing at a gas station. So those things are like, they're very violent. They're very, I would say unethical to say too, because like they lead to misinformation and they're very dangerous in the same way people spout racist and misogynistic things. Like that's the kind of like homophobic, transphobic stuff that, leads to people being murdered. And it's just, there's no place for it.
I always hear it that way though. I always hear men say, oh, I'm going to do this and go dominate in a women's sport. I never hear it the other way. Why do you think that is?
Yeah. There's men who compete, or women, people who were assigned female at birth, who are trans dudes who go to play, but we never think that, people assigned female women could like compete with men in the first place. So oftentimes we don't even like kind of give it a second thought. It's always the threat the opposite way. And it's rooted in misogyny, the idea that women are less than men and they would never be equal. And so it's ridiculous. I hate giving it the time of day, but, unfortunately it is a lot of the, things we have to combat as women, as people who are, gender expansive.
Okay, so now let's get back to some fun questions. Okay, so you and the whole squad go out to a club, all right? Okay. So who's the
babysitter the next day?
You do.
Okay, I'm there then.
You can't have fun if you don't.
I'm childcare. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now we got that out the way. Okay. You got childcare, so you can turn up, right? So who's gonna be the first one to hit the dance floor?
Today. For sure.
Today it's gonna be me. If I'm out and I'm having babies and I have a nanny the next day, it's gonna be me.
Because see, when you said you were gonna turn up, I thought you'd be the first one to get the shot.
No, I would dance before I drink.
Okay.
I like to dance.
So who's gonna be the first one to get the shot?
Ray.
Hands down.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and who's gonna just sit and watch the person?
Nneka.
Dang. Nneka?
Yeah, Nneka's a vibe, but she's gonna be chilling. Like she's not gonna be square on the corner, but like she's gonna be like vibing. Yeah, she'll be doing her thing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This was fun. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on all this good stuff. And then, like he was asking you earlier, this is not, you still got some growing to do. If you could look 5 years into the future, where do you want to be?
5 years?
Yes.
Dang.
Ownership, maybe?
I'm 32,
Coaching?
it's 37, do the math. Yeah.
Carry the one?
Yeah. Has to be every year. I need a year by year.
Okay,
Yeah.
2 years. Can we do 2? Can we shorten it?
I don't know. I think coaching's really fun. I've done some broadcasting for the Pac-12 Network. I loved that. So I would love to broadcast for the W and just be a part of the game. Coaching is a grind. I have a lot of respect for it. When I've had some injuries, I've been a part of coaches' meetings. It's just a lot goes into it. So I'm hesitant to just jump in there. But those are kind of the 2 things I think about.
You want to practice interviewing? You want to hold the mic and interview me?
Oh, yeah, I'm good. So the first time I interviewed Tara Vanderveer, it was for Pac-12 Network, and I was the color analyst. So I'm the one who had to get up and like go interview her during halftime, and like asked her the question, and then I never gave her the mic. So I was like, how the players are playing, and then I just like, and then they're in my ear, they're like, move the mic to her mouth, and I was like, and then I got better and better at it, but I had some experience with that, like being the one who has to ask the question and then say,
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Layshia is so much fun, and she is definitely on a mission this season to make a huge splash in the playoffs. Time will tell, and we will definitely be watching. The Aces are not only one of the most exciting teams on the court, but they are also explosive off the court, as their superstar Asia Wilson, in conjunction with Asia Wilson Foundation and Floyd Money Mayweather Jr. Foundation, took time to give back to the community recently. The 2 foundations joined forces in a back-to-school effort for local kids to ensure they had everything they need for a successful school year. The students received a backpack with school supplies and the opportunity to spend time with a world champion athlete for the day. Providing these kids with school supplies is so necessary, and let me say, I applaud Asia Wilson and Floyd Money Mayweather for putting their money where their hearts are. And I also want to salute Miss Asia for putting up 53 points on Tuesday against Atlanta. Girl, is there anything you can't do? I love her so much. We're going to keep watching her shine and elevate. Now stay tuned, because you don't want to miss this week's Jackie Rae What You Say. Stay with us.
A dark spirit has cursed this house.
Surprise. Is anybody else seeing this? Wait! If we don't stop him, we could be trapped here forever.
Disney's Haunted Mansion.
Did he look human? Sorta. He carried his head in a hat box. What part of that is sorta?
Rated PG-13. Get tickets now.
We're back on the Hardwood 94. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to dive right into Jackie Rae What You Say. I got to tell you, this one has been bothering me for a while. If you remember last season, Sue Bird was retiring. It was beautiful to see her go on her little tour of the WNBA and everybody showing her love in every single city. But what also happening at the same time was Sylvia Fowles was retiring. And it really wasn't until media started saying, hey, why isn't Syl getting her flowers? Why aren't we lifting her up as the dominant big that she is and the records that she's broken? Why aren't we giving her her flowers the same way? It started this whole conversation about where the W is in relation to race, which is an interesting conversation to have when you're talking about the WNBA, because they lead the charge on social justice movements, right? But when we're talking about race, it gets a little muddy. It gets a little convoluted, because now we have a situation where Sabrina Ionescu is on the cover of NBA 2K. We all love Sabrina, right? We know who she is. We've been following her career. We were all bummed when she got her first season and only got to play 3 games. And we've been rooting for her ever since. It's not a problem that she's on the cover per se. It's that you have someone like Asia, who did just score 53 points, who is the 2-time MVP, all-star player. She is the face of the league. And time again, she seems to be left out of narratives that she should be in. When we're talking about the W, we have 90% of starters are Black, 90%. But time and time again, you don't hear these names. We can pretend like we don't know, but we all know Diana Taurasi is the little symbol of the W. What happened to honoring players like Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, the people who really gave this league the foundation? So I am concerned about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese coming into the league, because while I have said time and time again that I think we need to exploit this rivalry, the optics are concerning to me, because now we have this problem in the league where we're giving constant shine to non-Black players, and now we're going to exploit a rivalry between a Black person and a white person. It's just too much. And I think the W needs to find a way to embrace every single woman in the league. Every single woman in the league who is doing her damn thing. And Asia is doing her damn thing. We should really only Asia at this point, because she's proven to be that. The Aces as a whole is just a well-oiled machine. So they should be getting all the shine. But I don't think that we should take away the shine from a dominant athlete just because we have another athlete that fits more of the social norm of maybe even beauty standards to some extent. I'm not entirely sure why this is, but I am concerned because I don't want these two young women, and I am excited for them to come into the league, but I don't want them to be caught up into our racial BS as a country that seems to be spilling over into the WNBA. I want the WNBA to just be better. Just celebrate women, all women, every single woman that gets on that court every single night and leaves it on the floor, celebrate them, period. Let's not pick and choose who we're going to celebrate and make it blatantly obvious when someone doesn't have the accolades as another. It's not right. Do better, W, because you guys are so dope when it comes to leading the charge with social justice. Lead it internally as well. That's all I got to say about Jackie Rae. What you say? And that is our show. We are so glad that you joined us, and we will see you next time right here on the Hardwood 94.